As Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl tastes freedom for the first time in almost 5 years, his parents say they cannot wait to wrap their arms around their son. On Saturday, they joined the president for an emotional Rose Garden appearance, but there's also a lot of emotion and opposition of what it took to free him. Former U.S. Intelligence Committee Chair Pete Hoekstra is with us tonight, but first, we get our report from Kristen Welker.
It was the president who gave the details.
This morning, I called Bob and Jannie Bergdahl and told them that after nearly 5 years in captivity, their son Bowe is coming home.
But the moment belonged to the Bergdahls.
I'd like to say to Bowe right now, who's having trouble speaking English, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Zayabayem. I'm your father, Bowe.
The Bergdahls will have to wait a little longer to say those words in person. Their son is heading home after an unimaginable journey.
My name is Bowe Bergdahl.
This hostage video was the first glimpse of Bergdahl, surfacing just after his capture 5 years ago. But today, freedom after a dramatic handoff in eastern Afghanistan, where several dozen U.S. Special Ops forces met with the Taliban to secure his release. Once inside the helicopter, Bergdahl wrote on a paper plate, SF, asking if the men were special forces. When one replied yes, Bergdahl reportedly broke down.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported Bowe.
In exchange for Bergdahl, the U.S. agreed to release 5 Afghan detainees from Guantanamo, drawing sharp criticism from some lawmakers who say the Obama administration violated the U.S. policy against negotiating with terrorists. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee writing, "This fundamental shift in U.S. policy signals to terrorists around the world a greater incentive to take U.S. hostages." White House officials countered there were no direct talks between the U.S. and the Taliban. Instead, the Qataris acted as intermediaries. Still, this weekend, bipartisan praise in the knowledge that Bergdahl is free. That realization still sinking in for those who love him most.
Yes, it's a good day.
And live now to talk about this controversial issue is the former chairman of the U.S. House Intelligence Committee. Pete Hoekstra is with us from Holland. Mr. Hoekstra, thank you for joining us. You can't help but be somewhat happy for this family and the fact that they're getting their loved one back. But it's been an age-old mantra, as you well know. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Weigh in on what has happened here.
Well, the bottom line is you're absolutely right. We're thrilled with the family. We're thrilled with the rest of America that Bowe is coming home. At the same time, we realize that this is a very messy process. The U.S. was at a point where it was very weak in its negotiating position. The president announced last weekend that within 2 years we would have only minimal forces left in Afghanistan. We had no other, probably had very limited, if any, other options. It's not an extraordinary day in America. As the National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, said, it's a day where we freed a former POW, and the future will tell whether this was a good deal or not. 5 Taliban leaders going free. I expect that with the history that we've seen with people leaving Gitmo, these 5 within 12 to 18 months will be reintegrated into the battle, targeting Americans and targeting the new Afghan government.
What's your take on this whole talk from the White House that, no, we didn't really negotiate with them, there was no back and forth, it was more of an exchange? Are they splitting hairs here? Have we really negotiated?
No, I think this very much was a negotiation with the Taliban. And in reality, this administration has been trying to work with the Taliban negotiations for the last 4 years. They've said that the only path forward is to have negotiations and reconciliation with the Taliban. But at this point, again, where we are leaving Afghanistan, we wanted to get our prisoner back home. The only alternative was, I think, to negotiate an agreement. And from my perspective, I think when we look back at this time, from some time in the future, it will look like a pretty bad deal.
Now, there's also a major concern that Congress wasn't involved. Of course, not the first time Congress has made this charge toward the president. Is this something that you, when you were seated as the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, would you have expected to have been involved in a situation like this?
I don't think that, saying, hey, we needed 30 days advance warning before anything like this happened, I don't think that's a realistic expectation. These things move very, very quickly. We have a president, we have a commander-in-chief. He's got the discretion to make those kinds of an agreement. I would expect that, a few hours before the prisoner exchange took place, that the White House notified the congressional leadership, has fully briefed them by this point, but to expect 30 days advance notification and approval, these kinds of situations can't be handled in that way.
Do you think the Taliban is celebrating victory on what has happened here?
Oh, I think so. I mean, the first indications are that they're saying, hey, for the Muslim world, for the Taliban, this is a big victory. Hey, getting 5 of your top leaders back, it's a big accomplishment for them. But at the same time, we're getting Bowe back. And like I said, the future will tell us whether this was a good deal or a bad deal.
All right, and time will tell, and we'll certainly watch it. Pete Hoekstra, former chair of the U.S. House Intelligence Committee, thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to join us. We appreciate your insight as always.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.